Hare Krishna. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Seems to be a little problem today with the Wi-Fi, the internet. Perhaps because it's raining. So I've taken the YouTube off the Wi-Fi. So it's just on mobile data, so I hope it's going to be working okay. And the Facebook seems to be okay. So we'll just carry on and hope that Krishna will carry what we lack. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Preserve what we have. Okay, so today is Saturday, the 29th of June, 2024. And we're continuing with our chapter 26, and we'll have a kirtan first. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Rishatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prashtaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe, Radhe 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garangagan Havagagrit Hare, Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Brisha Balanandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai, Nityananda Rai Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astotar Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astotar Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarazarashi Shimat Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarazarashi Shimat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Vedanta Acharya Ki Jai, Jai Rasik Sirumani Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamanand Prabhu Treya Ki Jai, Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bharadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai, Arupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parasada Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Siga Holsi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautandvip Madhyadvip Kauladvip Ritudvip Janadvip Modandvip Rudravip Apaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwadasavad Matmika Shri Braja Mandal Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ganga Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Shrimati Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai, Ketra Mandal Ki Jai, Sarva Vignath Vanasakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Charidham Ki Jai, Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Chari Acharya Ki Jai, Akaramat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Priya Sarupe, Taita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahachiva Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Pabueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swabila Sarupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Varatino Kalo, Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundara Dudikatamba Sadipita, Sada Hridare Kandare Swadatu Vasachinandanaha, Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava, Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarabo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi. Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadita Rangamadye Kripa Mayitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarabindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Paradam Tato Mamanasti Katina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najibami Tvaivina Iti Vignayarate Tvam Naimam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandava pranams unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm offering the same again millions of times to our dear most Namo Bhakti Vinodaya, Satchidanandanamane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyacha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavena Monoha. So welcome again to our Jaiva Dharma session, and we're into the 26th chapter. I hope the YouTube is going to hold today because it's on mobile data. The Wi-Fi doesn't seem to be doing, but the Facebook is just has a slow connection, but it's doing it. So again, we'll come to our Falshruti, and I was thinking how every day for the last 14, 15 months, I've been chanting this Falshruti every single day, and I never once got tired of it. Not once. Every single time, every single verse, it's just like fresh and as if I've never read it before practically. Even so, the idea of our spiritual life getting humdrum or boring, we don't get bored with chanting Hare Krishna. We chant the same mantra again and again and again every day. Like every day we do certain things, but if they're material, mundane, we find them tedious, we get bored with them. But the spiritual path, because it's spiritual, because it's transcendental, it's Naveen Krishna, it's ever fresh. It's always filled with newer and new, because it's eternally deepening. It's like the ocean, like this ocean of rasa that we're exploring right now in our rasa tattva. It's endless. There is no bottom to it. There's no shore to it. Can we imagine? With the material mind, we can't imagine this. The material mind is limited by time, place, etc. But the spiritual conceptions are without boundaries, without limits. So we come again into this Falshruti, and we're on the first 5 verses today. Pritivit on page 829. Pritivita yatakata dharma namechale, bhagavata kahe sabha paripurna chale. As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam 112, all the philosophies on earth which are celebrated as dharma are utterly deceptive. So when we remember the questions that Parikshit Maharaj, he asks Shukadev Goswami, because immediately Bhaktivinoda Thakur is bringing in a reminder and a conception of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So immediately our minds are going to the Bhagavatam. So Vedavyas was in a dilemma in the 4th and 5th chapters. He was feeling despondency, is the word in English. He was feeling unhappy. And he prayed for the mercy of his Guru, and Narada Muni appeared. So in these chapters in the first canto, 4, 5, and 6, is when Narada Muni appears at his ashram in Samya Prash ashram and alleviates his despondency by pointing out what you've only been giving Gyan and Karma, Gyankand and Gyanakand. You haven't actually been giving Bhakti Kand. But Vyasadeva wasn't aware of Bhakti Kand. Even though he's a Shaktivesh avatar, that door into the realm of Bhakti Ras had not been opened, because a personality has to open that door. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is carrying the Bhav and Kanti of Sri Radhika in his heart, but still he has to go to the bank of the Godavari and meet Ramananda Roy and have that transmission to show us all that there has to be the medium to connect to the higher realm. It's not just going to come from our hard work or hard labor or previous sanskar or sukriti. It has to come from that person who's already carrying it. So in this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is so ecstatic, I was just reflecting today in the 19th chapter of the first canto is when Shukadev Goswami appears. And Parikshit, he asks two questions right at the very end of this 19th chapter, which constitute the entirety of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I wanted just to read the translation of these two verses because it's very inspiring, I find. So in text 37 of the 19th chapter of the first canto, he says, "You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees." Parikshit Maharaj is talking to Shukadev Goswami. "I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons." These are his two questions. The first question, to show the way of perfection. What is the way of perfection for all? Everyone will have a different idea. But if you ask that Shuddha Sadhu, that pure Sadhu, he will give you the real direction. And especially for one who is about to die. But we're all about to die, sooner or later. We have no idea when our clock will stop ticking in this material life. We don't know, really and truly. We're so confident, especially when we're younger, we're convinced, yes, I'm going to live for another 50, 60 years, no doubt. But it's not sure. It's actually not a surety. So we're always in a little bit on the edge, so to speak. Lord Brahma, he gives these 5, they call nascent engagements in the 3rd canto, 12th chapter, verse 2, where he describes, he actually puts these impressions into the jiva's consciousness, and one of them is fear of death. The jiva is an eternal soul. Why should he be afraid of death? He's never born. So how can he be afraid of death? Death is just part of the material illusion. But Lord Brahma, he puts this, and every jiva is afraid of death. It's there. It's like an impression into the consciousness of the jiva. So everyone is about to die at some point. So what should they do? And then the next verse, text 38, "Let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me." So these two questions at the end of the 19th chapter of the first canto constitute the entirety of the Srimad Bhagavatam, attending to these two questions. And it's relevant to everybody. Everyone's going to die. We're going to leave this material world. Why have we become so attached to something material when I am actually spiritual? So in this verse, these dharmas are utterly deceptive. So what has Vedavyas been teaching? These material dharmas of dharma, artha, karma, moksha. These are all relative to the material world. They're not relative to the soul. The soul is not looking for dharma, artha, karma, moksha. No, moksha is bang your head on the Viraja river. You won't cross into transcendence.
Viraja river is not spiritual world.
On this side of the Viraja river, it's not spiritual world, but on the other side is. It's the boundary.
Moksha means material as conception.
Moksha ultimately goes into the Brahman. But that Brahman, you will connect with the neutral, the Shantaras aspect of your soul. You won't connect in Sambandha with Krishna. You'll remain, this is from where we've come from. That's why so many want to go back there, because they have a remembrance of it. Somehow or other, something deep in the consciousness. Like when we go to sleep, oh yes, wonderful sleep, Shantaras, neutrality. So moksha is not a spiritual conclusion. And prior to Vyasadeva being gifted the trance by Narad Rishi, He didn't understand what was the nature of Brajaras, or what was the nature of even Vrindavan, what was the nature of Madhurya. Everything was Aishwarya previously. Everything was Aishwarya. Worshipping the Lord out of fear and according to the rules of Vaidhi Bhakti. We've already been through these chapters. And now we're coming to the Rasa chapters section. And in the Rasa chapter sections, we're going to be just talking about Krishna. So if you want to look at yourself and want to think about self-realization, and you want to think about moksha and liberation, then you go back to the previous 25 chapters. You should stay in those chapters, and you should not come into the Bhakti Ras chapters. These Bhakti Ras chapters will become very boring for you. Talking about Krishna's flute, talking about Krishna's qualities, talking about Krishna's sweetness. They'll become very boring if it's you that you want to connect with, your inner self. You understand? We want to connect with our inner self's relationship with Krishna. You understand? So, Chale dharma chadikara satya dharma mati chaturvagya tyaji dharma nitya prema gati. One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and absorb his mind in true dharma. One should abandon moksha. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. Why is he saying that? If it was spiritual, would he be saying that? It's not. It's just a cessation of material suffering. It's like you're banging your head against the wall, and then you stop banging, you say, oh, now I'm free. You know, it's not a positive, because you haven't connected with the object of devotion. Our quest, our path, is to connect with the object of devotion, Krishna. We are, like we described yesterday, the ashraya. Krishna is the vishaya. He is the enjoyer. We are the abode to have the attraction to him. But he is the one who's enjoying. But we're so attached to my enjoyment that it's very hard for us to jump across that line, it's like a quantum leap to actually being humble enough to see the supreme controller of everything. This is what the first 25 chapters were all about. One should give up the fourfold goals of material life, dharma, artha, karma, moksha, and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of nitya prem. This nitya prem, this eternal service to the divine couple's prem, this unnata ujjvala ras, their prem. Amitva mimam sabrame nija jade buddhi, nirvishesha brahm gyan nahi chida shuddhi. Those who are deluded identify themselves with matter. That is their error. However, one cannot be purified of such delusion by endeavors for nirvishesh brahm gyan. This is an answer to your question. You can't be purified of the illusion just by having moksha. Nirvishesh brahm gyan is the same as moksha. It's not any different. Ivititrata hina pale nirvishesha hoy, kala semutulya seha aprakrita noy. The Mayavadi thinks Sri Krishna to be the subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental because he doesn't know anything beyond his own material sphere. Thus, he rejects Sri Bhagavan's vichitrata, astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities, and lila. So this is what we're going to be discussing in the Rasa Tattva section, his astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities, and lila. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of nirvishesh brahm. Kande jnana hoya dharma ache sunishaya, prakriti hoila kabu aprakritanaya. Such base and contemptible gyan, which arises out of an attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavan, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrita, materialistic, and should never be given credence as aprakritam. We should know this distinction conclusively between spirit and matter. That is all the beginning of all the teachings of spiritual life. What is the distinction between matter and spirit? such a universe of difference. So we're on to page 576, chapter 26. And we've come through and we've talked about the 4 different ingredients, the vibhav, anubhav, sattviga, vyabhacharya. And he's just mentioned these. He hasn't gone into the details of them. And I was encouraging everyone to take notes so that we'll become familiar with the vocabulary here. And he's talked about the 4 types or 4 characteristics of Krishna's personality. This Dhirodata, Dhirolalit, Dhirshanta, and Dhirodatta. These are 4 types of heroes. Now, as a result of that hearing, Brajanath is asking, the qualities that you have described are mutually contradictory. The Dhirolalit is fickle, is frivolous. The Dhirashantaha is very sober. These seems to be contradictory qualities. Described are mutually contradictory. So how can they possibly exist at the same time in one Krishna? It's like going slow and going fast at the same time. How is it possible? Goswami. Krishna is by nature fully independent, autocratic, and supreme. And he has boundless opulence. It is by the action of Krishna's achintya shakti, inconceivable potency, that these contradictory qualities exist in him at the same time. For example, we read in the Kurma Purana, Ashtulas chanus chaiva stulo nuschaiva sarvataha avarna sarvata prokta shyamo raktana talorchanaha aishwarya yogat bhagavan virudhartho vibhudyate tatapi dosho preme naivararya katanchana guna vrida api ete samahraya samantaha. All contradictory qualities are splendidly and very beautifully manifest in Bhagavan at the same time, although he is intangible and minute in every way. He is tangible and all-pervading in every way. That means he's accessible in every way. That's what tangible means. He is devoid of mundane color, but he has a transcendental shyam hue, and the corners of his eyes are reddish. This is how he has been described in the Shastras. Bhagavan is said to possess contradictory virtues on account of his mystic opulence. Nevertheless, no fault can be attributed to Parameshvara. Although the aggregate of his qualities seems to be contradictory, these qualities are certainly virtues in all respects. We have the beautiful verse, Karmani anihasya bhavo bhavasyata da duryashraya tari vayat pralayanam. This verse is saying, Karmani, Krishna works, and he doesn't work. Bhavo bhavasyate, he's born, and he's not born. It's the same person. He's born, and he's not born. He works, and he doesn't work. He's the embodiment of fearlessness, yet he runs away and hides in an ocean in Dwarka from his enemies. And Kalatmano Yat Pramo Yuteshram, he is the embodiment of austerity, yet he resides on an island with 16,000 queens, in 16,000 palaces at the same time, because he's detached. Even though he's with those queens, he's still detached. So it's saying that great sages are bewildered by these contradictions. It's like, for example, Queen Kunti could not conceive of Krishna being bound by a rope by Mother Yashoda. So these qualities, these contradictory qualities are there within the Lord. And we just have to accept his achintya shakti. This pushes it over the edge of our capabilities, our logical, rational reasoning. That has to be purified. If we're so stuck in the fact, well, this can't happen, if we don't have faith in the nature of transcendence, with the achintya shakti, how can a young boy of 7 years old lift a mountain? It's inconceivable. At the same time, he's a little boy, practically speaking, taking his mother's breast milk. At the same time, how is it conceivable? The mind has to really expand beyond the limitations of rationality. We're rational in the material world, applying our intelligence to the material nature to try and exploit it for our own happiness. But actually, this path is saying, blow that away and go beyond that rational idea. Not so easy, is it? It's a science, it's a journey. It's like a reconditioning of consciousness, of focus. But it's very ecstatic once you get the thread, because it's all empowered or powered by love. When the love starts to bloom in the heart towards Krishna, everything becomes reconciled. Yes, why can't Krishna do that? Of course he can do that. He is the Supreme Lord. This is again what we learn in the first 25 chapters about Sambandha. Krishna being the original Lord of all. Aham eva sam eva great, saying in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Before there was anything in existence, there was only Krishna. That means Krishna and his entourage. So many verses there. In the Mahavaraha Purana, it is stated, Sarva nitya shashvatas cha dehastasya paramatmanaha anopadana rahita naiva prakriti kvachit paramananda sadoha jnanamatras cha sarvataha sarve sarva guna purna sarva dosha vivarjitaha. The bodies of that Paramatma are nitya and free from the two types of activities known as giving up and accepting. That means completely detached. His bodies are not born from material nature, but are composed of consciousness and are the embodiment of Paramananda. Each and every limb of his body is filled with all transcendental qualities and is free from all defects. So we have no experience of this in the material world. That's why it's difficult for us to accept Krishna. We have no experience of eternality in this world. There's nothing that you've experienced that is eternal. Everything we're seeing all around us is all going to turn to dust in 1,000 years' time. Even our bodies. Except our spirit souls, they are eternal. But we don't know our spirit souls, so we haven't had realization of that eternal nature. It's a very wonderful meditation. What is the nature of eternality? It's beyond the rational, beyond intelligence. If we're holding on to our intelligence all the time, we're not going to reach that unbounded spiritual consciousness. The Vaishnava Tantra states, Astadasha Mahadoshai Rahita Bhagavatanu Sarvaivaryanmaya Satya Vijnananda Rupini. Bhagavan is endowed with all kinds of superhuman power, perfect knowledge and joy, and his body is free from the 18 types of general faults. These 18 general faults are Mohastandra Brahmo Ruksha Rasata Karma Ulbana Lolata Mada Matsaryo Himsa Keda Parishramo Asatyam Groda Akancha Ashanka Vishva Vibrama Vishamatva Parapeksha Dosha Asta Da Sodita. Illusion. This is from the Vishnu Yamal. Illusion, lethargy, Krishna is freed from these qualities. Illusion, lethargy, bewilderment, dullness, intense lust, fickleness, pride, envy, violence, remorse, desire for excessive peace and comfort. We are often looking for this excessive peace and comfort. Untruthfulness, anger, hankering, fear, hallucination, contradiction, and the tendency to depend on others. This dependence on others is actually considered like an aparad, practically. It's a fault. It's a defect. We shouldn't have this dependence on others. It's saying in the Bhagavatam that if, like, for example, a guru, if he has many sevaks, many servants doing everything for him, what does it do? It weakens him. It weakens his ability to do that. If he's always depending on someone to do this and someone to do that, he's weakening himself. Bhagavatam says like this, having this dependence on other people. All of a sudden, all those sevaks disappear and he's left alone and he can't even, boil the water to make, tea or whatever he's doing, So this dependence on others is not encouraged at all. All these transcendental qualities are present in the forms of the avatars, and they are expressed to the utmost extent in Sri Krishna, who is Avatari, the origin of all avatars. In addition to these, Krishna possesses a further 8 qualities which indicate his manliness, Purushattva. These are Shobha, beauty, Vilas, fascinating transcendental pastimes, Madhurya, sweetness, Mangalya, auspiciousness, Sthirata, stability, Teja, brilliance, Lalit, playfulness, and Audarya, munificence. So these are the qualities of Krishna. These are what he doesn't have, and these are what he does have. Describe that. He's freed from these lower qualities, and he has all these good qualities. This is what I said at the beginning, that this Rasa Tattva is all about Krishna. We have to leave our own material desires behind for the reading of these chapters, and our own hankerings for liberation or something like that. We have to leave them behind. This chapter is not moving in that direction. It's moving towards glorification of Krishna. His beauty is particularly noticeable in kindness towards the lowly, rivalry towards his peers, valor, enthusiasm, dexterity, and revelation of truth. You see, this is all elaborating on these 4 qualities that were described: Dhirodata, Dhirodita, Dhir Lalit, and Dhir Shantaha. These 4 qualities of Krishna. Now this is what's being elaborated on further, opening up. His profound manner, calm glance, and humorous words. His Madhurya, sweetness, is noticeable, for pleasing loveliness is manifest in all his activities. For pleasing loveliness is manifest in all his activities. His auspiciousness is the abode of faith of the entire world. His stability means that he is not deviated in any activity. His brilliance means attracting the attention of everyone towards himself. He exhibits an abundance of amorous sentiments and endeavors, and is thus called Lalit, playful. His mood of completely offering himself is called Audarya. Sri Krishna is the crest jewel of all heroes, and in his human-like pastimes, sages such as Garga have been described as his assistants in the matter of dharma, Kshatriyas such as Yuyudhan in matters of war. Yuyudhana, he's generally called Satyaki, and he's a dearmost friend of Arjun and Krishna. Satyaki, he's a great Mahabharata hero. So Yuyudhana in matters of war, and ministers such as Uddhav in matters of counseling. This is all about Krishna's characteristics. Rajanath, I fully understand how Krishna is the heroic personification of mellows. Now please tell us about Krishna's bhaktas who are fit to experience rasa and who are included in the category of vibhav. So now about the bhaktas. This was about Krishna, now let's hear about Krishna's bhaktas. Goswami, only those whose hearts are overwhelmed by loving sentiments for Krishna can be bhaktas in rasa tattva. This is what I've been saying from the beginning. It's about our developing our one-pointed attraction to Krishna. We're parking our philosophical concepts and so many things like this in the journey towards self-realization, so to speak. And we're just here now focusing on Krishna's qualities. All of the 29 qualities, from truthfulness to bashfulness, being embarrassed by true statements, which have been described in relation to Krishna, are also found in his bhaktas. So these qualities, we understand this, achintya bheda bheda tattva, we've discussed this, that the jiva has minute qualities the same as the Lord. And as we meditate on the Lord, these qualities within us will begin to grow in relationship to our attraction, or in according to the degree of our attraction to Krishna. Those qualities will expand within us to reciprocate with him. Otherwise, how can we reciprocate with him? In our very mundane condition, we're not eligible to reciprocate with Krishna in any really loving dealing. We're too afraid, we're too, mental, we're too kind of like rational. All these inhibitions are there within us. So all these have to be purified. And they're purified by hearing about Krishna. This is the process of purification. Rajanath, how many types of Krishna's bhaktas are fit to experience rasa? Goswami, by the way, sometimes it's called, we say rasa, and sometimes we say ras. You can say either way. Either way, pronounce it. Goswami, there are two types, the sadhak and the siddha. Rajanath, who is the sadhak? Goswami, sadhaks are those in whom ruchi for the topics of Krishna has arisen, and who have acquired the qualification to have direct darshan of Krishna, but who have not yet completely surpassed all obstacles and difficulties. So, but we are focusing on Krishna. Our objective is Krishna. It's like this chaya as opposed to the pratibimba. Madhyam bhaktas adorned with the symptoms described in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.46, Ishvare tad abhineshu, are in the category of sadhak. So this very beautiful verse is described in the 11th canto, Ishvare tad adineshu baleshu dvisheshu cha, prema maitri kripaksha ya karoti sa madhyama. I want to read this translation just for our benefit. A Madhyam Bhagavat is one who has love for Ishvara and his pure devotees, friendship towards his bhaktas, shows mercy towards those who are innocent in regard to bhakti, and neglects those who are inimical to Ishvara or his bhaktas. So this we discussed in the 8th chapter. Remember, with Haridas Babaji, in the 8th chapter, we discussed all of this. Everything we're reading now in these last 14 chapters, we've already made the groundwork, so to speak, in the first chapters. Rajanath, Prabhu, are the bhaktas described in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.47, Acharyam eva hariye, not eligible to experience rasa? So that verse, I just want to read you this verse because this is important also. This is that verse 11.2.47. A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly towards other devotees or people in general is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. That's a kanishta. So he's talked about the madhyam, now he's talking about the kanishta. He's asking a question about the kanishta. He's saying, are these bhaktas eligible to experience ras? Is the kanishta. Goswami, they are not sadhaks until they become shuddha bhaktas. So they can't even call them a sadhak until they actually This is why my Gurudev constantly said, quickly come out of this Kanishta platform, come to the Madhyam platform. Very quickly we need to come to this Madhyam.
So Kanishta is not.
No, Kanishta is nothing. Kanishta is actually, no,
Don't say
it's what he's saying. It's very,
I
very,
didn't know before.
very junior, very
I
junior.
think we all thought. But now I understand.
No, but
We
my
know.
Gurudev said, we are, yes, it's true. But we have to quickly come from that. My Gurudev used to say, if you can tell the distinction between Mathura, Dwarka and Vrindavan, you know what is Madhurya Dham, you're no longer a Kanishta. You quickly understand these qualities of Krishna. You quickly begin to understand who is Krishna. This is what this is explaining. We're still talking about the qualities of Krishna. It's all about Krishna now. The previous chapters were Sambandha Gyan, were about me and Krishna, Jiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva. But this is only about Krishna now, exclusive. That's why I said at the beginning, if someone doesn't just want to know about Krishna and finds it kind of boring, they actually want to go back into the Sambandha, well, go back. It's all there for our purification. But if someone is eager to go forward and further, that's the note of qualification. That's the indication of our adhikar. If you actually genuinely want to hear about Krishna, something has woken up. Yes, give me Krishna, give me Krishna. I'm fed up with this myself, self all the time. I just want Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. In relationship to my pure self. They are not sadhaks until they become Shuddha Bhaktas by the mercy of other Shuddha Bhaktas. Has to be another Shuddha Bhakta. Only personalities like Bilva Mangal are genuine sadhaks. Look what Bilva Mangala did. It always astonishes me. His lust was so overwhelming and disturbing for him, he took the hairpins and scratched his eyes out. Imagine. He didn't want to even look at the face of a girl. That's really intense. Every time I think of him, it's like, wow, you know, what sort of nishtha was that? That's so harsh, you know. But Krishna came straight to him and guided him to Vrindavan. He was so anxious to be with Krishna, and this lust was such a disturbance for him. Only personalities like Bilva Mangal are genuine sadhaks. Brajanath, who are the Siddha Bhaktas? Goswami, Siddha Bhaktas are those who do not experience any suffering, whose activities are all performed under the shelter of Sri Krishna, and who always taste the happiness of prem. There are two types of Siddha Bhaktas, those who have gained perfection, Samprapta Siddha, and those who are eternally perfect, Nitya Siddha. So two types of Siddha Bhaktas. We should appreciate this. Brajanath, who are the Bhaktas who have gained perfection? Samprapta Siddha. So he's going to describe these two kinds now. Goswami, they are also of two types, those who attain perfection through sadhana siddha, and those who achieve perfection by mercy, kripa siddha. Brajanath, who are the nitya siddhas? Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami has said, Atmakoti gunam krishne premanam paramam gata nityananda guna sarve nitya siddha mukandavat. This is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1-290. The Nitya Siddhas are those who, like Mukunda, are the embodiment of the Anand, and whose qualities are eternal. Their main symptom is that they are endowed with prem for Krishna, that is 10 million times more than they have even for themselves. So this is what I've been saying repeatedly since the very beginning. We're going from our self-introspection to the super self, so to speak, to Krishna himself, that introspection. It is said in the Uttarakhand of the Padma Purana, Yata Somitra Bharato Yata Sankarshanadaya Tata Tanaiva Jayante Nijalokadya Richaya Punastai Tenaiva Gachanti Tatpadam Shashvatam Param Na Karma Bandhanam Janma Vaishnavanam chavidyate. Vaishnavas are not bound by karma, nor do they take birth like mundane human beings. Rather, they appear as Lakshman and Bharat, the sons of Sumitra, appeared with Sri Ramchandra, as Balaram and others appear in this material world with Bhagavan Sri Krishna by his will, and then return again to the eternal transcendental abode along with him, or as the members of the Yadu dynasty also appear in Bhagavan's manifest pastimes, and then return with him to the supreme abode, Paramadam, and when his pastimes become unmanifest. You understand? These are the siddhas, these are the perfected souls. Brajanath, Prabhu, I have understood the alamban aspect of vibhav. Now kindly explain what is referred to as udipan. So we're still describing what is vibhav. We're still in this section. So I've given you the reference in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu with the diagram of vibhav. What is the alamban and what is the vishaya? So now we're going to go to what is the alamban and what is the udipan? So now we're going to go to the udipan. Goswami, udipan is that which causes bhav to be excited or stimulated. Krishna's qualities, his activities, laughter, and the fragrance of his bodily limbs, his flute, bugle horn, ankle bells, conch shell, and footprints, the places of pastimes, Tulsi, his bhaktas, the auspicious times such as Ekadashi, Harivarsha, and so on are all udipan. Krishna's qualities, guna, are of three types related to his body, mind, and speech respectively: kaika, manisika, and vachika. So these are all described clearly, as I've said from the beginning, in this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is a new edition on page 178. All his these pastimes are here that we've just described. Actually, it's on page 176 and 177. So as I've said, we're going through this, but it's paralleling this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. Every chapter is going to be parallel. So it makes it, these are all diagrams very nicely mapped out so we can get the picture. So it's not sort of far away, it's more tangible to us. We can actually grab it to some degree and at least begin to appreciate the structure of this rasa explanation. Age, Vyas, is prominent amongst the qualities relating to his body. There are three divisions of Krishna's age: Komara, Poganda, and Keshora. Komaram Panchamahapatantam Pogandam dasam avidi asodas chakcha kaishoram yovanam syat tataparam. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 21306. See, everything is coming from this. It's coming from the Bindu in diagram forms, but it's originally from the Sindhu of Rupa Goswami. The Kumara period lasts until the age of 5. The Poganda period lasts from this point until the age of 10. And the Kashora stage begins at the age of 10 and continues until the age of 16. The age after that is called Yovana. The Kaishora stage also has three divisions, which are called the beginning, middle, and end: Adya, Madhya, and Shesha. Among the bodily qualities, the consideration of beauty is predominant. Beauty is present when the bodily limbs are in proper proportion to each other. It's also a description of Krishna's proportion, all the limbs of his body. Clothing, decoration, and the arrangement of articles, including the hair and so on, is called prasadam. Krishna has three kinds of flute: Vamsi, Venu, Murali. The Venu is 12 fingers long and as thick as a thumb, and has 6 holes. The Murali has 2 hands in length and has 4 finger holes beside the hole of the mouthpiece. The Vamsi is 17 fingers long. Of this, there is a clear space of 3 finger widths at the tail end. At the head end of the flute is another space of 4 finger widths, which is also which is also clear, except for the hole for blowing, which is half a finger's width from the end. In the middle is a space containing 8 finger holes, separated from each other by a gap of half a finger's width. The Vamsi, therefore, has a total of 9 holes. So nothing is imaginary here. Everything is totally authentic. This is an absolute description of Krishna's most famous flute. The conch shell that turns to the right and rests radiantly in Krishna's hand is called Panchajanya. Through these udipans, the rati of the bhaktas awakens, and when it is directed towards Krishna, the object of rati, it becomes the very embodiment of Anand. Rati is staibhav, and it alone transforms into rasa. So get the mood that where we're going. We're describing Krishna's qualities in explicit detail, and when one catches that wave, that current, then it becomes so intoxicatingly blissful. We just become hungry to know more and more and more about Krishna. And thoughts of myself and my selfish desires just fall away in the background. Because those selfish desires are going to make me miserable. They're going to bring me into this material conception. That's all they're going to do. Come here tomorrow at the same time and I will tell you about rasa. And I will also explain Anubhav and so on. Vijay Kumar and Brajanath offered dandavats to Sri Gopal Guru Goswami's lotus feet and took their leave. Absorbed in contemplation on the subject of ras, they went to have darshan of Siddha Bakul. From there they went to take darshan of Sri Jagannath Dev and then returned to their quarters. So we know Siddha Bakul is the sitting place of Haridas Thakur. It's a most auspicious, profound place. So this is where they went, considering all these topics. But understand, this is the first chapter, 26th chapter about rasa. And the principal focus is on Krishna, 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 Krishna. Even to the extent of describing these absolute details of his flute. His flute. Nothing to do with me. I'm out of the picture. So it's Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And then that current will begin to cover the heart's selfishness. And then the Lord's focus will come into our attention. So this is the nature of Bhakti Ras, which is the gift of Sachinandan Gaurahari. Just a detail about Sri Gopal Guru. Someone was explaining me today how they went to have darshan in the Radha Kant Mandir of the house of Kashish Mishra, where is the Gambhira temple. And they looked, and normally you can see a murti of Gopal Guru, but they were looking through and they couldn't see the Gopal Guru murti. So they asked the pujari, where is Gopal Guru? And they say, oh, he's offering the bhoga. So what they do, they take that murti of Gopal Guru, because you see him in the first chamber. When you look in the door of the Radhakant temple, you see the murti of Gopal Guru. They take that Gopal Guru into the main altar, and he's the person who's offering the bhoga to Radhakant. Very beautiful, huh? This is how they do it. This is how the pujaris do it in this Radhakant Mandir. So I thought that was just something nice to share with you. So yes, we've completed chapter 26 in just 2 days. It's amazing. We've just really bang, bang, bang gone through. But what is the principal focus? The principal focus is, please absorb your mind in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, and in this edition also, both these editions, and all of these Udipan Vibhavs are explained. And there's a nice diagram here about Krishna's flutes, his Venu, Murali, and Vamsi. And when we start to meditate on these descriptions, then something very special starts to happen in the heart, genuinely. Because we're genuinely showing an interest in Krishna's paraphernalia. Not just, oh, that Krishna that I want to give me peace and happiness and relief from the material world. So we transitioned from the Sambandha section into the Rasa section. It's a huge leap, actually. But we've done the homework. We've studied the Dasmula very carefully. This is the foundation. We have all the Siddhanta and Tattva from the Dasamula. to support our eligibility to come into this area. If we weren't paying attention in the Das Mula, it'll become bewildering in this Bhakti Ras section. So I think we're most blessed. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is carrying us into this place of rasa. It's a very confidential place. It's like secret. Like when you go to Varshana and you go through Sankari Kor, only one person can go at a time through there, right? You can't even, you try to take two people and it's not possible. Only one can go. So only you personally can enter into the bhav and nature of this rasa tattva. Rati and bhav are the same. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has made that very, very clear. So it's a single, individual, unique, focused. And we all have our incredible individuality. So we have to stay in that individual place and chant our Mahamantra. Remember all these different, and perhaps tomorrow while we're chanting, remember Krishna's flute. Remember the Vamsi, the Murali, the Venu, these three types of flute. And if you start to read about them, you can start to appreciate the difference in size, qualities. They each have different language which they speak. This flute is amazing. Have you ever heard the flute? I'm waiting to hear also. My Gurudev described it once when we were in Vrindavan. He said it goes up and it goes down. It goes in waves like this. So if we're hungry enough, we will hear a fraction of that sound vibration to transport us. Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Rasa Tattva ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gold Prem Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvicha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo, Vaishnave Namo Namaha. Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Rasa Tattva ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. So on Monday, we don't have class tomorrow. On Monday, we'll go to chapter 27. Another exciting step up into this realm of rasa. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Bol.